Good afternoon, everybody. Um, so my name is, as he said, Denise Mins Harris. I'm Al Mins' daughter. Some of you may not be familiar with him. So if you've ever seen the video of Hell's a Poppin', he's the crazy guy in the white tuxedo jacket. But he also is many other things to the Lindy world and its creation and its perpetuation over the years. But one of the things that troubled him was how few, not only him, but Norma Miller, Sugar Sullivan, Barbara Billups, the elders that were around and I had contact with, was the lack of presence of a generation of black dancers coming up. While they loved sharing the art form, it was troubling to them. And he spoke of it. And if you ever saw his interviews on YouTube that he did in Sweden, he spoke blatantly about it. And a little bitterly, quite frankly, like, they're just not interested. They want to do modern and ballet. No, he was really getting on me because I was the one, besides Lindy, doing modern and ballet, but that's besides the point. At any rate, it troubled him. And then I started coming around the scene. My dad died, and then I started coming around the scene, and I kept running into young black dancers who would say to me, I was gone for a few years, but I missed the dance and I love the music, so I'm going to try again. And then I would hear these stories of isolation and the stress of oftentimes being the only black person in your scene and the impact of that, regardless of how warm and welcoming the other people may try to be. It's a unique experience feeling like a guest in your own culture. One of our members of NGP told me that, NGP, I'll get to that, told me that he didn't even know Lindy Hop was created by Black America for 3 years. He was dancing and the subject never came up in his scene or by the people who were teaching him. So I realized that it wasn't a lack of interest. It was a lack of access and a lack of feeling shared community. So 2 years ago, I was at ILHC, and I get this email from someone who's the CEO of Harangue. And she said to me, Harangue's trying to go through an evolution. And everyone I talk to keeps saying, you need to talk to Denise Mins Harris. And I don't know what you could possibly say, but can we talk? Well, I talked to her. We actually talked for 2.5 hours of all the things I felt needed to happen. And the number one thing I needed to happen was the creation of the Al Mins Next Generation Project. And that was for Harangue to fund a team of young black dancers to come to Sweden and immerse themselves in training with master teachers. So I got together with some mentors who I'd met over the years that I considered dance masters, like Latasha Barnes and Marie and Daye. Am I saying her name right? Help me. Chester Whitmore, who is our master teacher. Josette Wiggins. Felix. Brie Campbell. Ursula Hicks. Folks who know. Who? Oh, Julia Loving, yeah. And so we got together, we had a meeting, and I said, okay, give me 10. I don't know who these young people are, but I know they're out there. And so they gave names. 4 of those are here. But then there were 3 more that we really, really wanted. And at that point, the Frankie Manning Foundation stood up and said, okay, we'll fund the other 3. And so they had this intense beginning. And since then, the Al Mins Next Generation Project has taken on a life of its own where people want to support this continuing. and so we will. And with that said, I want them to introduce themselves and share with you what it has meant to them to be a part of NGP and a little bit about what it was like before they became a part of it. And we'll start with Chelsea.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Chelsea, and I started dancing actually. I was living in Slovenia, and so it was a strange experience being in a foreign place, going to a dance studio, seeing all these black dancers, photos of old black dancers on the walls, and realizing, wow, this is something that is part of my culture. And so learning my culture in a foreign place was very impactful for me. And then about 2.5 years ago, I moved to the U.S. And I don't know why I was so naive, but I was like, I'm going to the U.S. There's going to be so many black dancers here. And there weren't. And yeah, I live in Ohio. And so I'm in a scene that is mostly where, well, there's now 2 of us. So I was the only black dancer in my scene in Columbus, and yeah, just was wanting to learn this dance, feeling like, all right, I guess I have to travel, trying to find any way to like stay connected, feeling very isolated and like, man, like this is such a hard thing to keep doing, and was just really feeling like, okay, my friends are kind of like, why are you so committed to this? And I think for me, it has always been more than just a dance, but a real connection to my culture, my legacy. Even being mixed, I think I had moments where I was like, okay, like what does it look like for me to be black, and to really identify with that and understand what that looks and feels like and express that. And so being a part of the Almonds Next Generation project has given me a lot of courage and purpose, and just this understanding of, no, like when I get out on the dance floor, like what I'm expressing is tied to the cultural values of people who have come before me, and I get to learn that history and be a part of bringing that forward and helping other people who are sitting here and maybe thinking like, okay, what's my culture? What is this like? Is walking into the space, I have family members who are like, what is this dance you do? The hoppy hop? It's all those white people. And like being able to share, like I got to like share with, well, my grandma knew what it was, and then share with my dad, like, no, your mom was doing this, and this is the history, and my cousins, and be able to show them like, hey, this is a really, you see the old videos like Hell's a Pop, and you're like, wow, this is incredible. Like I want people now to not just have to go have someone show them an old video, but be able to see, wow, I see this in my city, in my town. This is incredible. This is black. So yeah, that's kind of how the Almonds Next Generation project has affected me so far. And I'm really excited to continue to learn, to continue to grow as a dancer, but then also just as a communicator of the history and legacy of this dance.
She did take all the good answers. Hi, my name is Chiadi. I currently dance in Phoenix, Arizona. I went through a couple different stages of dance in Lindy Hop. I was born in Nigeria, so I do have a background in dancing, African dance, specifically the Igbo tribe. So I do have that history that I've been dancing since I was a kid. Moving to Phoenix and starting to learn Lindy Hop, there was a lot of things I was told that we don't use, like hips, like shoulders, and all these things that were something that were basic to something I grew up with. So I struggled for a few years, and at that moment, I wasn't seeing any black dancers dancing Lindy Hop. For I believe 2-3 years, I didn't know Lindy Hop was a black dance, because everywhere I went, it was white dancers. Every event I saw, every clip I saw online was, someone's like, have you seen Hell's a Poppin'? I was like, what is that? And then they told me that it was created by black dancers, but I still wasn't seeing black dancers dance the dance today. And I think as I was learning it was a dance created by black dancers, I didn't feel like I could take up space. And I think what Next Generation Project has done for me is give me opportunity to take up space that I have carried on, where even if I'm in spaces that I'm the only black dancer, I'm still taking up space as I want to. And I think I struggle with that because I felt like I could never take up space because people were staring, or people were just like whispering, or people were not asking me to dance, or people were turning me down from dancing. So I think it's helped me build a confidence to be able to take up space as I want to and dance and express myself without any judgment. And this has been a beautiful community to help in nurturing that with the mentors and with my fellow mentees. So it's been an awesome journey from going to Harangue last year till all the projects we've done so far. It's been awesome. Yeah.
I want to share something about Nigeria. So there was one point where the United States hired my dad and his partner Leon to do a goodwill tour of Lindy Hop and vernacular jazz in Nigeria. And when he came home, he was so excited because he said that so much of the movement that he saw when he went there were the same movements that they did here in America, whether it was the camel walk or the snake hips or all these movements. So when I hear Chiari's story saying, basically to take a fundamental dance of black movement and make it more ballroom pretty, it makes me understand why the NGP is critical.
You just mic dropped that. It was like, I didn't know you were finished. Hello, my name is Rachel. And for me, I actually have a background in technical dance, and actually that's where me and Denise met. Denise actually gave me an opportunity to be in Debbie Allen's Hip Hop Intensive. That's where we met. And I think you remember it and I didn't.
You remembered it and I didn't. You reminded me that I gave you a scholarship.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what happened. And it was an honor to be picked by this lovely woman sitting next to me. It was an honor to be picked to be in NGP.
Hot teenage mess.
This is true. This is true. Y'all know. It was true. However, I have grown tremendously.
Yes, you have.
With NGP, I love that it's like, this is my long distance family. And it's nice to have, and it's nice to be able to reach out to people, well, my fellow black people, because when we are in the scene, you only see white people when you're in social dance scenes. And I love that she came up with this, and we are able to communicate with each other. If somebody needs something, or if we want to talk about something, we're all there for each other, and we can understand where one another is coming from, where other people really don't understand. Like, let's be 1,000. You can say you understand, but you really don't understand the struggle, the mental of what really goes on with us as being black people in a social dance setting with all white people. There will be times that we don't get danced. There was an event I went to, I didn't get danced the whole entire time. 4 hours, y'all. Not being asked to dance. Like, what? It's unthinkable, but I'm pretty sure all of us have went through a situation where it's like, we're at a social dance event and nobody asks us to dance. Why? Don't worry, I'll wait. You know what I mean? Like, and this is just stuff that we don't think about. So I love that we have this now, and we can be there for each other, and we're supporting each other and not being scared to do so. You are giving us the courage, and this group is giving us the courage to step out and say, yes, we are here. I'm done.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity. I started dancing at my school. I go to Purdue, and there was like chalk on the ground, and it was like, learn how to swing dance this Saturday, right? So I was like, corny, stupid, what is that? I was like, respectfully, what are they doing, you know? But I was free, so I decided to go check it out, you know? And that's where I fell in love with the dance, and I fell in love with the music, and I made lovely friends and community within Purdue. But recently after that, I ended up spending a summer in New York for an internship, and that's where I was like, ILHC, that's a thing. Let me go to that. I just learned I can Lindy hop. I've been dancing for a year. I'm qualified. So I went. I didn't know who anyone was, but I had the best time of my life. And through that summer, I ended up dancing like every day and learning from like some insane dancers. And through there, I learned like what Lindy Hop truly was and the power of it and the connection and the level of expression and conversation that you can have through the dance. And it's given me so much and made me so confident as a person. It's helped me learn who I am as an individual and in an individual sense, but also my history and where I come from and how that plays a part in what America is today, you know? So Next Generation has been really super cool because it's nice to have a community of dancers who can relate to that. Like I walk into a space and I don't see myself, and that can be hard and kind of scary, but they make me feel brave, and they make me feel special and unique, and that I have a purpose in being here, and that my presence makes a difference, you know, and that who I am, like I can bring that authentically. That's I can bring myself authentically into every space I go. So every event I go to, like I'm not necessarily afraid anymore, because even if I don't see other Black dancers in the room, I know I have an entire community of dancers. We got a little group chat. They're just saying, hey guys, at this event, having so much fun. And just to know that they're there supporting me, regardless of where I am, is super nice.
So, if you're not Black, I'm going to take you off the hook. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you need to do except be aware and be empathetic. Because I think maybe some of the things you're hearing today, you're like, what? But I'm always nice. I always say hi. It's kind of deeper than that. One young lady who we're bringing into group 2, I didn't even know there would be a group 2, but it's taken on a life of its own. I met her because this guy was dealing with some mess in the scene, and he announces on Facebook, I'm out of here. And I'm like saying to myself, no, we created NGP, so that didn't happen anymore. And so I responded to him on Facebook, and I said, let's talk offline. And this young woman says, can I be on the phone call too? So I don't know if she's crazy or whatever. So I said, give me your phone number and I'll talk to you separately. So this young lady, after we got him back in track, we need that, you know, somebody need to call him back. So after we got him back on track, I called her and I'm like, hi. And she tells me this story. She's the only Black dancer in her scene in New Jersey, and she had paid for this class. And after class, she went up to the teacher, and she's like, there's this step you did. I just didn't get it. Can you show me one more time? And the teacher looked at her and said, you're not good enough to learn this. Now, understand, the teacher could have just been an asshole and would have said that to anybody else. But when you're the only Black person in the scene, it hits different. And that kind of, and I not only encouraged her, I told her she'll be in group 2. It's like I feel like this mother hen collecting the chicks across America. Yeah. Not only will she be in group 2, but because of that, then I called the mentors, and I said, look, we got this young girl in New Jersey, and she's isolated. She's all by herself. Who's going to grab her? Ursula Hicks said, I got her, and they've stayed connected. And that's what NGP really is how do we stay connected across America and hold on to each other in this vast country and support each other as the microaggressions and unconscious impacts of being at a social for 4. This child could dance. How can they not ask her for 4 hours? It boggles the mind. And here we are in Southern California, and we're so cool, and it's like, but it's happening here because she's in Southern California. I want to open it up to Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments? Are you all shocked?
Don't be scared.
Yeah. Is there a channel to refer dancers in our scene to the Next Generation Project?
Well, you know, it's like Next Generation, Hillary Alexander was gracious enough to offer scholarships to Next Generation for Camp Hollywood. And so those who were available to come came and they performed. After they performed, then the next day was the pool party. So I'm sitting at the pool party, and this European couple comes over to me, and they're like, "We want to." I wasn't even incorporated. I just came up with a name, and she said, "We want to give you some money." Okay. we want to help this happen. This is important. Okay. Give it to ILHC because I'm not incorporated, you know. But then Pacific Swing Dance Foundation approached me. And they're like, "We want to bring you under our umbrella." Now, I'm a fundraiser by trade. I'm the vice president of the NAACP. So I don't need to take no money that I raise for this. For me, I am well compensated. But I'm getting to an answer here. So the more, I've already got a list of almost 20 people for the next cohort. And I need money. So Pacific Swing Dance Foundation, because they've been around for a while, they've got legs, so it's easier to raise money. We're trying to raise money. And so I hate to say it, but I'm the connection. And I also hate to say, you know, I was with Debbie Allen from the day she opened her dance academy. And I was one of her directors the first 13 years. And I know how to do this. I'm a fundraiser, and I know how to run dance programs. But I also know that it takes money. So, you know, go to Pacific Swing Dance Foundation, give $1. No amount is too small. And I'm Denise Mins Harris on Facebook. Send them to me. I'll take them. Mm-hmm. Whoever they are, I'll find a way to pay for it, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments?
Question for all of you. What does an ideal dance class look like for y'all? Like, what's something culturally responsive?
Class or something?
Class.
Class?
Yeah.
I'm ready to answer. Is anyone super ready to answer? I need to think.
Wow. Okay. I think that one of my mentors from Arizona, we were talking recently about a class that they were teaching, and they would teach a little bit of history every time they taught the class, and they were kind of asking me a question about what do I think about them constantly teaching a little bit of history. And I said, that's okay, because you don't know what day there's a new student in your class who doesn't know anything about Lindy Hop is walking in. So every day you teach it, even though it feels repetitive to you, teaching that history, there's someone that's gonna be like, I've never heard of that. I taught a class last year at an event, Summer Swing Fest, and after the class, someone came up to me and was like, I didn't know Lindy Hop was a black dance. I was like, what? It's like, I was like, okay, what do you know? As much as you told me in this class. I was like, wow, that's a problem. So incorporated a little bit of history, and actually I think focusing on a lot about, I love the class we took today with Remy on groove and rhythm. I think we have what I see a lot of these days are a lot of moves, and sometimes they are not on rhythm or on beat.
That was very gracious.
I was trying. And I think that when you take out the groove and the rhythm and the beat, you are, for lack of a better word, disrespecting the culture, in my opinion. And your classes should be the base of the class, and then the moves can come. But if people are learning fancy moves and they don't know where the 2 or the 4 is, I remember vividly, I believe it's this past ILHC, there was a competition, and the clapping was weird. And then AJ goes, and we clap on 2 and 4. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what was weird. Okay, thank you. And that's how people just learn. So for me, I would think focusing on rhythm, beat, and then the move comes, and then a little bit of history, and also referencing other Black dancers that they can use as inspiration out there. That's my answer.
I have an answer now. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
My favorite Lindy Hop class that I've ever taken, or swing dance class that really got me excited, there's 2 that come to mind, was Charleston class. But it was the After Sebin clip. So they took the After Sebin clip, they played it in the class, they explained to us, okay, this is breakaway. This is how Lindy Hop, like the evolution of Charleston to breakaway to Lindy Hop. And these are the dancers, and this is the inspiration that we're taking. And so I think classes like that are classes that, like, sometimes when I agree with Chiati, I think having the rhythm and having the beat, but sometimes I go to classes like that and I'm like, all right, we're teaching people how to bend their legs. Like, that's not really for me, you know? And so, like, what does it look like to say, okay, here's a class. These are the dancers. This is what we're trying to do. Like, let's learn from them. And having an instructor who is also saying, like, I'm watching these old clips, like, this is where I'm learning from, this is my inspiration, is also like, okay, that's someone I want to learn from. And then it's also teaching me as a dancer that this is accessible to me and that I can go watch these same clips and learn these dances and these styles on my own. So that's my ideal class.
Making sure that while you're in a class, like my ideal class is when you're dancing, that you're not trying to look like or be like the person that is dancing. Swing, Lindy Hop was straight up individuality and so much joy and so much fun. And I don't see that in a lot of classes. They tell you what you can't do, or no, you're doing this too much. Why? Who said that?
Right.
That's not what Norma said. That's not what Frankie said.
Right.
Who's your reference? I'm just kidding. But as an ideal class, you should be free to, yes, the basic. You learn the basic. That is first and foremost. Learn the basic. And then you take that basic step and you turn it into something that makes it for you. So that's my ad. You got anything?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Kind of going off that. I was listening to a panel once, and Moncel, if you know who that is, yeah, gave really good advice, and it was the idea that Lindy Hop is the dance form. And that means that, to an extent, yes, technique is important. Mm-hmm. If you're, like Remy said, it's not shag, you know. We're bouncing into the ground, you want to be grounded, things like that. But then once you learn the form, that's where you can bring in the style, you know. So emphasizing that in your class, not that you have to dance a specific way, that you can't move your hips, or that you have to move your hips, you know. But to provide students that foundation and frame with which to work with, and then telling them, hey, now use your voice to make it yours, you know? And one more thing. Collective Voices for Change, Marie's organization. Yeah. If you go online, there are plenty of resources on there of people and videos, texts about culture, and dance and different kinds of dancers. So if you ever want to incorporate history, I think it's a great resource to use if you want to learn more about this dance.
So that's another reason why I started NGP. Because as I've been going to some of these different events, you know, organizers, they're not trying to be poor. They're never going to get rich doing this, but they're not trying to be poor. So that means if you register, you can compete. But some of the stuff I'm seeing, I don't know what that is, but it ain't Lindy Hop. And it scares the hell out of me because it makes me feel like if somebody's not holding on to this legacy in an organized way, in 10 years we won't recognize it. I've literally seen people come out on the floor with ballet shoes and a tutu. I was like, what the hell? I love ballet, in ballet. Everything ain't for everybody. And so that was another reason why I was with Sugar Sullivan at Harangue. And she was really concerned that Fast Stops was not being done correctly. So I gathered NGP together, and I'm like, you got one class to learn this and get it right. This is your purpose, to learn your culture and master it and perpetuate it. So then when I go online and I see like this one teaching a class and she's actually teaching it to other people, I'm like, yes, that's why you're here. That is the debt of gratitude for putting this energy and training into you to preserve what's ours. You know, people are online saying crazy things about our culture, about our history, just giving themselves permission to say any old shit. And with no verifiable source. It's like, I made it up. Or, you can't prove I didn't make it up, so I'm going to say it. And it's quite frightening. And it's quite offensive. Yep. And the other purpose, if you can imagine, in my mind, NGP is this tapestry of students and dance masters that are weaving this blanket of protection around this art. And, you know, I was at Harangue, and this guy from Poland who has a studio, Europe is very, very preoccupied to talk about cultural appropriation. And I told him it's not so much appropriation, it's about access. It's about, I don't even think white folks are being racist. I just think you go with what's familiar. So you know that mediocre white teacher, but here's this black teacher who's better, but you know the mediocre white teacher, so that's who gets the job. Hence DEI, but I'm not going to get into that. But that is what DEI protects us from. I'm sorry, I'm the vice president of the NAACP. Okay, let's talk about something else. Is there another question or a comment? Comments are fine too.
I have a question, just for everybody up there. We just had a conversation back here about online clips and just resources and stuff in general. Like collective voices is a great part. We're good, and to like take it in a different route. What are some of the most inspirational clips that you've seen in your time dancing, and just fun clips that you'd like to talk about? Like dance clips.
I mean, how's it popping for sure. But Al Mims and Leon James did a show, and I can't think of what it's called right now, and I'm so sad. It's like, I think, yes, it was the Playboy Club. Yeah, that clip for me is everything, because they broke it down from like beginning, the steps, the cakewalk, the different forms of the Charleston. Like, they broke it down to a T. And then they went into Lindy Hop, and they were like partnering together. They look better. Like, And they were really getting it in. Like, that's one of my favorite dance clips. But I do want to say I had one of my first time teaching at Camp Jitterbug. I was gonna teach a solo jazz class with Nakia. And we were talking about the class, and we were giving each other notes back and forth. And then I saw a biography on Norma. And after I watched it, I called her. I said, "Scratch everything that we just talked about. This class needs to just be free. We'll give them a couple of things and let them figure it out. Let them go through their brains and say, how can I do this? How can I fit this Suzy Q into something else? Or what can I do with it?" Y'all know the heel toe is actually Suzy Q? Did y'all know that? Think about it. Yep. The heel toe is the Suzy Q, just in a single. That blew my mind when I did it in a class one day. But that's what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to take these basic steps, vernacular jazz steps, y'all. Chester got a whole YouTube video on it. Oh, Chester got a whole YouTube video on vernacular jazz steps. Please, vocabulary. Please, I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. Please. Vernacular jazz steps. Chester has a video of it. Watch it.
There is, I believe it's with Consuela Harris. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a class that Kanini taught recently, and she talked about the idea that if you, and Remy mentioned it a little bit also, if you covered their legs and the top, but you can see how the movement you can see the movement in the body, and you can actually be able to tell what steps they're doing. And I was so amazed by that video. And there's another one that my housemates have been playing all weekend. The Blip Blip video with, remind me the name again.
Marie Bryant.
Marie Bryant.
And Paul.
Yeah, just go watch it. Those are my favorites.
I know Hell's a Poppin' was already said, but for a long time, I'd seen, even when I didn't know what Lindy Hop was, I'd seen Hell's a Poppin' at one point, and they're like, yeah, that's our culture, you know? And it is. And it always starts when they start dancing. But one day I was on YouTube, and I was like, oh, look, Hell's a Poppin', you know? So I decided to watch it. And there's an entire first half where they just play music. And I had never seen that before. Even like at events, they'd play Hell's and Poppin', and they'd start when the dancing starts. And something really resonated with me with that, because a lot of times, like I'm not a fast dancer. I'm working on it. But like that high energy, I was just like, I don't know if there's a place for me in that. But when I saw the first half of that clip, I saw myself, and I saw like the build up to what we all know as Hell's a Poppin'. Yeah. So I really love that video, and it speaks to me, and it shows me that there is so much range in this dance, and you need to be able to access it all for it to truly represent what Lindy Hop is and can be for everyone.
Yeah. Questions, comments? Yeah. Well, you and Brittany, I've already got you. I mean, what are you talking? That's the interesting thing about the mentors. The mentors were already mentoring. All I did was acknowledge what you guys are already doing. I mean, it's very funny. You probably wouldn't notice, but when a black person shows up at a scene, I've seen a few of them this weekend, we all start going, do you know her? Do you know her? And if nobody knows her, then we go like, hi, I'm so. Because we know to make that connection, now just make the connection. And that's what we did. And so, you're already a mentor. You're already a mentor. I already put a picture up of you as part of Next Generation. I mean, mentors are already mentoring. And I want to say this about them because mentors are not only excellent in dance, they bring other things to the table. For instance, I'm not going to be able to be here to see Josette tonight, but when she's not physically here right now.
Yeah, she's here. She's in the
Where's Josette? Oh, okay. I'll say hi to her. But so Josette's one of the mentors, and so each mentor had like a class to do beyond, instead of, or in addition to dance. And so I asked Josette, who, like, if you look at her resume, you would do this. I asked her to do a class on contracts, how to create a contract to perform, how to create a contract to teach. And Josette came with a PowerPoint and samples, but like gave them the tools they need to not be taken advantage of. Like one of my horror isn't that great? One of my horror stories is one of the NGP people were offered a big responsibility as an opportunity, and I'm like, So I called Felix. I said, well, what did they offer to pay you? She said, well, that didn't come up yet. I'm like, okay. So I talked to Felix in Sweden. I'm like, what should she get paid? Felix is my light-skinned son. So I said, what should she get paid? He's like, Mama Denise, that's like a $3,000 gig. They offered my NGP person $500. So that's the other thing we're protecting each other from. Because what's interesting, so I told her to tell him, no. That's not the only word I use, but no. And, but that was the other thing that I wanted NGP to be cautious of, that they don't use their newness to the scene, because I have to be honest, white folks advise this person, well, you should take it because it would look good on your resume. Yeah, no. Pay her. That looks good on her resume. Because organizers talk. It's like, don't pay him no more because you can get her for $500. You think we don't know that? That's not nice. It's quite American, but it's not nice. So that's the other thing we're going to do is raise the bar. My dream is that, at some point, maybe after 3 years, we'll give out something to them that says they are NGP, and wherever they go, people are like, oh shit, NGP's competing? Damn. I want them to be mad when we show up. Like how everybody asks when Bianca and Neil shows up, like, oh damn, they're here. Maybe I can get second place. I want them to feel that way about NGP. That's how hard we're going to push them to excellence and to preserving what this was meant to be, not this pretty ballroom stuff. I mean, somebody likes it, but when I saw the chick dancing with the tutu and ballet shoes on, competing at Camp Hollywood, first I was like really angry at whatever teacher got paid to validate that. Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you stand for that you would have a student come out and compete like that? But then my light-skinned son in Sweden said, Mama Denise, maybe a teacher didn't tell her that was okay. So then I really got mad. because I'm like, then that's just damn disrespectful. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do when I see mess like that in the future. I don't know if I'm going to stay quiet. I might say something like, what was that? Where do you give yourself permission to be that offensive? I don't know. But if you got friends acting like that, check them. Say, I think Denise Harris is going to be there. It may not be a good idea to go out doing Lindy Hop in tutus and ballet slippers. I don't know. Questions? I'm sorry. I hope I haven't scared y'all from talking. Any questions or comments?
I can start. I think that understanding, like we've talked a lot about experiences of blatant racism, right? Or like no one dancing with you. But there's also just the toll that it takes to be in a space that is supposed to be black. And then you're seeing something that is totally contrary to your values. And then you're like, all right, am I crazy? Or like, and so I think that I think the first thing is asking yourself, okay, what value, like in the dances, the performances that we try to do, the classes that we're teaching, like what are the values that I am putting out here? Am I putting out a value of, oh, I'm trying to make a flashy, because I think there's a lot of like flashy performances, or am I doing something that's respecting the dance? Like I think having that at the essence of everything that you do will make a world of difference. Because if I'm coming in and I'm like, what is this? This feels like a gimmick. This is not a dance. And so I'm going to come in and I'm not going to feel at home because it's not black, it's not cultural. And it's, and it takes a toll on you to feel like, well, this is the only way I can dance is if I by giving into this thing that doesn't feel authentic to me. So I think that's a good place to start, maybe.
Oh, that's big. That's good. Good. I think, in addition to all the things that she said, I really like the idea of the value. Man, I'm trying to be really nice today.
Don't.
Jazz music. DJing is a big responsibility. I'm not saying I'm a good DJ, I'm just saying. But it took me a while to know what good jazz music is like. Because I would step in spaces where people are dancing, and I'm like, okay, the steps are making sense of what they think jazz is. Then when I travel to some events and I see and I listen to what real jazz music, I'm like, well, now none of them steps make sense because there's a little more beat, there's more, I can hear everything. And I think that the people you hire as DJs to DJ either your venue is so important, because if you are introducing new dancers to music that are not good jazz music, that's what they're always gonna know. And then when they go somewhere else, like, well, this is not what I was thought real jazz music was. And now there's like a conflict of which one is the real one. It took me a while to realize what real jazz music is, because I'm like, I've never heard this before. I didn't hear a lot of Count Basie for a while, and I was like, who's that? And then it got me a lot of curiosity too. So I think those ties into what the value is. Like, where are you doing the research? Who are you bringing in as your DJ? And when you have events or when you have nights, do you go back and reflect on? I think reflection is super important, and I don't think a lot of scene leaders do that. They just do things maybe that might bring them money, which is, get your money, right? But also, like, if you are to be respectful to that culture, what music are you playing, and how variation, there's a lot of jazz history from back in the day, so how much variation are you playing of those jazz music, or you prefer a specific type of jazz, specific era, and you just stick to that era? Yeah, that's all I got.
Let me think.
Well, I guess you can add to Chiat. Yeah. To add to that, because jazz is very broad. Like, it dips into soul and it dips into rock and roll. And as far as the DJing, I went to an event and they called it Soul Night. Asked me, did they play one black artist? I'll leave that there. So like he said, just do your homework, especially if you want to be a DJ. Respectfully, do your homework. And then for organizers, don't just hire somebody because they're your friend and they say that they can DJ. Make sure that they're qualified to DJ.
What's their list?
That part. Like, I need a 10-song list of souls, big bands, and jazz. Send it to me. If it don't look right to you, there you go. Yeah.
To add on. I think music is a very big part of what makes this accessible. Remy kind of explained it in one of his classes, but the reason I love Remy's classes because like the first time I went and I heard music I listened to like on the regular, I was like, that's it, you know? And it's hard to make that connection. And factually, a lot of black dancers don't know that Lindy Hop is theirs, you know? So to make that the jazz continuum, the jazz evolution thing, like understanding those connections and presenting that to black dancers, I think is really key in getting them to connect in what this is. And I think on top of that, you just kind of have to be proactive about it. You can't just say, well, this space is open, we're the black people, if you never looked for them, you know? So, like, you just have to go out, where are the opportunities to say, hey, I could offer this to a black community somewhere, you know? I know there are efforts to, like, put Lindy Hop in schools. There's efforts to put volunteer activities to learn more about jazz history and go on trips to do things like that. So it's really about presenting it to black people and meeting them where they are instead of just saying, well, you're not here, you know? It takes a little more effort than that.
I also want to take a second to really thank Nikki and Mikey for caring about us and wanting to give us a voice and a platform to talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And, you know, we're not going nowhere. And the movement's just going to grow. And, you know, it's keeping me young. You know, it's keeping me challenged and hopeful. And, you know, when I first got to college, I worked with this crazy nun in the South Bronx, Sister Lorraine Riley. She used to say to me, Denise, celibacy is a day-to-day struggle. She was crazy. I love her. But the other thing she used to say to me is, I'm going to do God's work. It's up to him to pay the bills. And that's how I feel about NGP. I'm going to do this work, and the bills will get paid. So thank you, everybody, for your time, your attention.